Hiya, welcome back to Budgeting Beans. My name is Emily and today I'm doing the March bullet journal spread for gift binder for Christmas 2024. So obviously this video is filmed well in advance, so I'm just going to get straight on into it and I hope you enjoy this video. So my theme for this month's spread was Avatar: The Last Airbender. This journal is for my sister and one of her favourite TV series or animated series is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I actually struggled to come up with a theme for March. This idea came from my sister's girlfriend, to which I then further researched, I suppose, into what I wanted this theme to look like. I did look up how to do the fonts that you can see in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and yeah. So the equipment I used, I forgot to write notes on this as I was working on it, so I'm completely winging all of this information. This cover page, it did take me 10 minutes and 58 to fill in. That does not include any of the sketching time, because I did all of that well in advance. But the equipment I know I did use was the Unipin pens in grey. I think it was a 0.1 or 0.5 pen, I can't remember which. As well as the Unipin in black, 0.3. And the Tombows dual tip 062, that was the yellow one. And the 452, that was the blue one. The pens I used for red and green were just two unknown pens that I found in the house. Moving on, I have the calendar page and the goals page. They're one and the same, really. And on the other side is the monthly overview. I've kind of done these two pages at the same time, but for the sake of this editing process, I've split them back up into two. The calendar / goals page took 3 minutes 30. All I used was the Unipin fine liner in black, 0.5. and a ruler. There was nothing really fancy going into this, it was just lines. And the monthly overview was 4 minutes 58, and the only reason that took as long as it did was because of the font. As I previously mentioned, I went into a lot of detail on this font. I looked up how to do the Avatar: The Last Airbender written font, and it took a hot minute to do. And as well as all the tiny little numbers, I used a smaller pen. I think it was a 0.2 in the Unipin fine liners, again in black. Next up, we have the playlist page. This is probably one of my favourite spreads I've done to date, because it is the secret tunnel, and anyone who has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender knows the secret tunnel song. It's 10 out of 10, utter quality. And yeah, so I had to include it. I don't normally do a playlist page. I couldn't avoid the secret tunnel. It had to be done. I am a bit upset at how the hands came out. Hands are not my specialty, but I mean, it's secret tunnel. And it took me 7 minutes 43 to do this entire page. And honestly, I don't even know if my sister's going to use this page. It's honestly there just for the sake of secret tunnel. And the only thing I really used, again, was Unipin fine liner 0.5, 0.3, and I believe I used the 0.1 as well, just for some smaller details. But otherwise, it was just those and a ruler. On the page adjacent to the playlist page, I have habit tracker. I went more simplistic with this because I just felt it appropriate. Just did the little dots in the shape of the calendar month, each dot taking up one space, like one little square. And I wanted to do the ribbony thing. It just felt like the most appropriate title, if I'm honest. And again with the fonts, because that font is everywhere. And for this page I used the Unipin fine liner 0.5 and the 0.3 for the dots. And it took me 10 minutes and 7 seconds to complete this page. Next up, we have the work hours page. This is one pretty much carbon copied from a post I found on Pinterest. I will try to link the board because I've pinned the post. I've pinned the post on my Pinterest, if that makes sense. So I'll try to remember to include that. But I saw it when I looked up for general inspiration pictures, and since my sister is a self-proclaimed earthbender, it just felt appropriate to have a lot of earthbendery things in it. I personally am a Fire Nation person, just for the record. So I think those two really show up quite a bit in this theme. But I did overlap these, didn't I? Anyways, so for these two spreads, it was 7 minutes 45 seconds, and all I used was the Unipin Fineliner 0.5 and 0.3, and I don't believe I used any coloured pens for the most part throughout this spread, just because the intention is for my sister to be able to colour these things in. So with these spreads all completed, we can move on to the weeklies. For this month, I have done different weekly themes for each week, whereas normally I would do the same for all of them. And not each of these. This one at very least is a Dutch store. The theme of this one is the Air Nation. As you can see, I've got Appa in this. Appa is a classic character. And yeah, it's Air Nation. So for this one, what was it? I used the Unipin Fineliner in grey. I think it was a 0.5. Lined each of the boxes, and then I went over this with the yellow pen. It was the Tombow ABT 062. And once all of those were completed, I coloured in Appa and then cut out around him to create the Dutch door effect. I wanted it to be open so that my sister could see what she's doing, and it just gives that little bit of a flair, you know? And yeah, so week 1, that's this week, took 25 minutes and 53 seconds to complete. So as you can see here, I have the meal plan and shopping list on the back side of Appa, and underneath all of these I've highlighted every other line with the Tombow ABT 062 pen. This is just to give that bit of colour. And in the top corner of this last section, I've included a mini calendar just for my sister to see. It's the first week of the month. Following up, we have week 2. This theme is the Water Nation, and it took me 11 minutes and 24 seconds to do, and the equipment I used on this one was the Unipin Fineliner 0.5 and 0.2 for the little calendar, as well as the Tombow ABT 452 pen and a ruler. That's all the equipment I used on this one. And one of the reasons I've alternated the layout of each of these weeks is just to give it a bit more visual interest. I didn't want my sister growing bored with any of these themes, and I just wanted just something to keep her more interested in bullet journaling. So yeah, the Water Nation is probably one of the more popular nations to want to be in due to Katara. She was the main female lead character, and so to represent the water tribe, I've included the two fish. I cannot remember like what they're called. I know they're like the yin and yang and all of that, but I cannot remember the basis of their story, as well as the little symbol for the Water Nation. So yeah. So upon the completion of week 2, we've got week 3, and this one is the one I'm most excited for my sister's sake. As I mentioned earlier, she's an earthbender, or self-proclaimed earthbender, and this week's theme is the Earth Nation. The main decorative thing on this one is the wanted posters for Toph. Toph is my sister's favourite character, and honestly, absolute legend of a character. This theme, I don't know how long it took me actually. I forgot to write that down. I'll insert a little thingy somewhere on the screen. And yes, the equipment I used on this one was the Unipin Fineliner 0.5, the brush pen for the Unipins is the brush pen, and I used a different. I don't know what the green pen I used was, but I used it to highlight every other line for the meal plan, as well as little details here and there throughout the spread. Continuing on, we have the final week of March, and this one is the Fire Nation, which is my favourite nation. Whilst the Fire Nation is absolutely stunning, I could not find a good enough picture to animate it with. So Water Nation obviously got the two fish, Air got Appa, and Earth got Toph, but I could not think of anything particularly great to draw for Fire Nation. But I did find a fantastic quote by Uncle Iroh. Ooh. Sorry, I just dropped something. And I don't have the book on me to know what the quote says, so I'm just going to read it on the screen as when it pops up. So it's, sharing tea with a fascinating stranger is one of life's true delights. And I just thought that was a really cute little quote. And honestly, Uncle Iroh has the best quotes of the entire series. Mostly. So this spread took me 17 minutes and 7 seconds, and I used pretty much the same stuff I've used throughout the rest of this month spread. I used a ruler, Unipin Fineliner 0.5 and 0.3, and I used a red pen. I don't know the brand or anything, it was just one I found around the house, and yeah. So to complete off this journal, we have the Farewell March section, and I've done, again, throughout this entire journal, I've continued with the Avatar Last Airbender font, and it took me 7 minutes and 57 seconds to complete this last spread within the March spread, this spread within the March spread. And overall, the entirety of March took 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 57 seconds to complete from start to finish. For this page, I used the Unipen Fineliner 0.5 and maybe a pen. I can't really remember what it is I used. I did one last quote, which was, "While it is always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing." And that's another Uncle Iroh quote from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay, and that is it for this bullet journal spread. I hope you've enjoyed it and hope to see you in the next one. Bye!